Hey YouTube, it's Thursday, February 17th, 2022, and we're here to do some tank maintenance on Tank A. It's a 55-gallon planted South American tank, mostly a bunch of indlers. Probably between 125 and 150 fish in here. It's heavily planted, and there's pretty high light going on. Just as a demo, we cut this for filming purposes, but that's what's going on most of the day. It's three-phase lighting, but it looks so dim because we've got all of this parrot's feather, Myriophyllum aquatica, and lots of grasses in here that have begun growing along the front of the aquarium. They're growing up and they're actually blocking the light at the top. In addition to that, I go through and clear some duckweed from here from time to time, but despite the high light, it looks pretty dim down here. In fact, some of the plants just aren't thriving like they should have toward the lower end, like Alternanthera lilacina over there, and we're going to solve some of that. In addition, this tank needs some maintenance because the nitrates are about 3 times what I'd like them to be. General hardness is also about 3 times what I'd really like it to be, and KH is maybe about twice what I'd like it to be. So we're going to simulate kind of the end of the dry season, taking the water level down. I'll leave it down for just a little bit as I'm doing some tank maintenance, maybe for a day or so. That's going to be for the catfish and for the other guys in here. And then when I go back and put clean, clear tap water that only has the addition of tap water dechlorinator, then it'll really seem like the rainy season has arrived for the South American tank. The plants are going to respond to that. The fish will respond to that. Corydoras, glow light tetras. There's some loners in here as well, Serpy tetras and black skirts. They're just hanging out in and amongst their friends and buddies. But should be pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is begin just by getting my PJs wet. So I really need to get in here and start trimming away this parrot's feather. Again, Myriophyllum aquatica. And this is a South American plant. Most of the stuff in here, with the exception of one Anubias plant, one cryptocorn plant, I'm just dropping it in a bucket of aquarium water down here. This is water that I pulled out from another tank earlier today. And I'll just be trimming these guys. So I'm not going to do all of this on camera. We'll cut and show you what it looks like a bit later. But in addition to that, I'm going to go through and begin trimming these grasses. The grasses that are growing along the back and now front, these were sold to me as dwarf Sagittaria. Now I have my doubts about that. I think it may be a Vallisneria. But they're every bit of 2 to 2.5 feet long in height, and that just seems a little tall for Sag. Maybe it's not, but not the Sagittaria that I thought it was. So I'll try to do some species identification on that. But this stuff shouldn't be growing along the front of the tank. So this is the part where I get my PJs wet. But, Mr. Cameraman, if you would, show our viewers what we've got going down here. In front of the tank, I just carry around like a little kitchen or bath thing, whatever you call that sort of thing, to keep the floor from getting wet. Because I know that having my arm this deep in a 55-gallon tank, I'm definitely going to pull my arm out, sling water. I'm not super careful with that stuff. I didn't remember to put a towel over my shoulder when I started doing this. That's sort of one of my cardinal rules of thumb when I go about doing this stuff. But I guess this is the first tank I've had my arm in, gosh, at least 24 hours. So rocking right along, I'm just putting my fingers under these grasses and lifting them out. I'm trying not to break the runners. And in doing that, I can come all the way to the end, snap it, and I should be able to lift this string of grasses out. And if I plant these someplace else, like the back of this tank or in another tank, they're going to have a much easier time reacclimating shorter time getting over the stress of being uprooted and replanted, and it'll be a much more natural looking growth. So, trying to leave it all intact, and then I'll probably just drop it in my bucket for now, because we're going to be doing other tank maintenance, and I don't really know where I'm going to put it yet. I think I'm going to put it in the back of this tank, but we'll see.